My fellow Americans, I want to talk to you about something, an important issue that's been plaguing our cities. Used to be, time was, if a man wanted the laser attack, he wanted to do a laser attack, you had to put points into intelligence. Back when I was growing, this is back when the pools were segregated, I knew a guy. He used to go to the white pools. He used to steal the catalytic converters out from underneath the cars. We called back then. You called him his name. We called him Cracker Jack. Can't call him that anymore. You can't say that anymore about him. But he dumb as a pile of rocks. My fellow Americans, he tried to get into the academy. Rayon Lucario. They turned him away. They said you don't have enough intelligence. Nowadays, anybody at all can get an Ash of War. They can put it on a straight sword, and they can be shooting laser beams all around everywhere. And what this has led to is a drastic devaluing of our currency and our economy, and it's un-American. This isn't what we stand for, and this isn't who we are. And the time was back when I was a boy, when I was growing up. You pick your stat, but now if you're strength build, you can shoot lasers. Your dex build, you can shoot lasers. Your faith build, my fellow Americans, you get lasers on the faith build, and anybody at all can just hit R2. And by that I mean L2. They can hit L2, and they can be shooting lasers all around the arena. My fellow Americans, I can't do this. I can't do it anymore. Look what you made me do, Miyazaki. I'm not even gonna pretend to not be a hater in this video. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it fly. This is not me. This is not who I am. I made a strength build, and we're using a bleed colossal sword, and we got the spiral horn shield on our back. Why am I doing this? Let me walk you through my reasoning behind this. Is because with the release of Shadow of the Erdtree, we've got a problem. We've got an issue that is coming more and more to the forefront in these games, and it's just that if you invade, chances are you're going to be invading, multiple people. Probably at least one person and a co-opper most of the time, and more, especially with the DLC, there's two co-oppers there, so it's a 3-on-1, and the screen is just filled with projectiles, with Ashes of War, with like some spells, but it's mainly Ashes of War, and the Ashes of War system is cool, but what it means is that any build at all can have just these spammable projectiles. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Also, look at me. Ooh, roll catching. Colossal Sword's kind of fun. You can do this like jump attack feint with it. Like if you jump at somebody, they're gonna think that you're doing a jump attack. But that's the fool's option. Jump attacks are garbage in PvP because you can just roll them most of the time. Like almost every time, you're giving a 5-second lead up to your attack, so people can just roll them. But if people roll, and if you hit the running R1 on a Colossal Sword as soon as you hit the ground instead, most of the time you'll catch people kind of mid-roll. Kind of like that, right in front of you. That wasn't exactly pulling it off, but that was basically it. Anyways, the spell spam, the Ash of War spam, is out of control right now. And basically any build can do it, It doesn't matter what your build is, there is a weapon that you can pick up, and, the katanas have magic lasers on them, great katanas have magic lasers, colossal weapons, magic lasers, daggers, spears, you name it, right? You can put a little magic laser on it and just hit L2 all day, and that leads to a lot of these invasions just being real messy, a lot of status effect buildup, just a lot going on. And I was streaming last week and was feeling just a little tired of it. And so I was thinking, how can I mitigate some of this. And I basically settled on, well, I need poise, you know? Like, poise is important in Elden Ring, but not so much as in, like, previous games. But I need poise, and I need something that can help me just, like, mitigate damage, you know? Good armor set, maybe a couple of spells. Spiral Horn Shield is nice because it raises immunity and resistance, so that governs all of your status effects. It basically gives you plus 50 resistance to all status effects, even if you just kind of have it on your back. I mean, that's why you see a lot of PvPers using it. You know, Chase the Bro famously uses it, I think, in pretty much almost all of his videos. It's a good item to have. I've never really messed with it before, but it's getting bad enough to the point where I was like, I just need to make something that can give me a fighting chance against the wall of spells and ashes of war that are just getting thrown at me in these invasions. It is unbelievable. And for those of you who maybe have not played older From Software games, or maybe like From Software or Elden Ring was like your first one and you're kind of working your way through the backlog, like spells and things like that were a lot more rare in those games, and especially in those games PvP. Like Dark Souls 1, if you wanted to invade with magic, you had to go through quite a bit to actually get spells that were like worth it. And so I think a lot of people in invasions were just doing like physical damage builds. You know, it's much easier to just like farm the Baldur side sword and get some decent armor that has a little bit of poise on it and just start invading, rather than, you know, going all the way to Sen's Fortress and, you know, buying the Dragon Crest rings and freeing Big Hat Logan and all that stuff. But in Elden Ring, it's much, much easier to get like an intelligence build kind of online early, and especially because co-op is so populated, there are a lot of people just kind of dropping stuff for their friends. But also, like, no matter what your build is, you can have something that will just shoot a bunch of projectiles out there, right? Because of the Ash of War system. This fight, I think, that we just ended was a good example of like a nice one that I encountered, like just a solo host. You know, he had a cool build, he was doing the martial arts stuff. That's like a nice fight, you know? That's like a respectable fight. And then this one too that we're about to see is just some big boys swinging some big ol' colossal weapons. But I think that it's tough, especially with the release of the DLC now, because let me just smack my microphone around a little bit. This is great radio. This is fantastic radio, isn't it, folks? You know, it's so much easier to just have like ranged options and magic damage options, big ol' laser swords. Pretty much anybody can do it in a way that you didn't really see in the previous games. And it always feels like it's the same, you know, the same half dozen weapons, the same half dozen Ashes of War. There have been some new additions with the DLC, but it's all kind of in the same, you know, range. It's the same vibe, right? These are weapons that have very powerful Ashes of War, that have like area of effect damage that they can do, that have a lot of range, that have a lot of speed. Something like Messmer's Spear, right, sort of fits into that category. And if you invade Messmer's Spear users over and over and over again, you know, there's only so much a man can take. There's Miyazaki, there's only so much I can take before I make just like a sweaty, meta-level, try-hard PvP guy like this. Like, I don't like making... Well, I don't know. Maybe that's a lie. This is a pretty fun... It's pretty fun to play. The stats are weird. It's not like a pure strength build. It has like 35 strength. It's level 125. 35 strength, 60 vigor, 35 endurance, I think. 19 arcane. You might be asking yourself, infomercial, what the fuck? Why are you putting 19 arcane on a strength build? I'll tell you why. That is the you need 19 arcane to wield the meteoric ore greatsword that we have in the DLC. Take a look at me getting robbed of this critical. That's happened a couple of times in the past couple of videos that I've had. You get a crit on somebody and there's no damage. I don't know what that is. Packet loss or something like that. Anyways, I'm going to be using the meteoric ore greatsword because I saw some people using it in PvP. I was watching a little Ouroboros stream and he was using it and it looked cool, so I'm going to use it too. But also, if you bleed infuse like a colossal sword like this, it does crazy bleed buildup with a single hit, like in the 150, 160 range or something like that, I think. And, you know, more arcane will just make that number go up too. So that can also help. We're using the Watchdog greatsword here, which is just a fun weapon. Like it has, I think, slightly less range and reach than like just the regular, like the Guts sword that you can just pick up. You got to farm for this a little bit, but I like the way it looks. I think it looks cool. It gets a better scaling in strength too. If you heavy infuse it, it gets like an S scaling in strength, which is pretty cool. But obviously it's bleed infused, so we're not benefiting from that. But still a fun weapon to use, a cool weapon to use, and it's it's nice. You can try hard, you can sweat a little bit in invasions and still have fun. I try to be like an anti-try hard, anti-PvP sweat guy, just because I don't know, it's not that interesting to me. I like to use stuff that I think is fun and cool. And that I think is interesting, and maybe like neglected weapons and things like that too. But eventually it gets to a point where it's like, why am I trying to make this wonky ass build work when it just doesn't feel competitive? Also, look at this co-opper just getting mogged by this basic ass Lane-Del soldier with like a butter knife. Legend of PvP right there, Lane-Del soldier. What a pimp. What a Chad. We love him. We love him. We're here for him. He's the best. In the flask, we've got the infinite poise tier, and we've got the like absorb magic damage tier. But I might switch to the deflecting tier just because, I mean, this thing blocks like 70% physical damage, and it's got pretty high stability too, so you're not really consuming that much stamina, even if you're blocking like another swing from a colossal weapon. And guard counters are back, baby. Guard counters are valid. Don't let anybody ever tell you that guard counters are not valid, or that you are not valid for using guard counters, because we love them and they're great. Watch this guy walk right off a cliff. Anyways, I'm Infomercial, and that's the video, and thank you for watching.